everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my final autumn DIY of 2025. You do not want to miss this one. This is a beauty. I've got this gorgeous new mold from Moulds and Shapes. This is their huge keyring or bag charm mold. I'm going to leave the direct link below in the description box alongside your 10% discount code. Just click the link, it will take you straight to these beauties. Now, this is my final autumn DIY video. I do have another one. I might slip it out tomorrow morning. I don't know. It didn't come out great, but I think for inspiration, it's worth sharing. Now, these are chunky. I'm going to be kind of filming 3 at a time just for, to get it nicely on camera. And I'm going to be using a combination of these beautiful maple leaves from Sharon Kerr on Resin Supplies Den on Facebook. Now, you would have seen these. These were my go-to this autumn. Absolutely obsessed with them. And I'm going to be using a combination of autumnal colors just to tie them all together. This process did take a few days. You don't have to do it the way I did it. You can pour one block color in the entire mold and then fill in all of those beautiful groove details in another color. But I did decide to take my time on this one and create different colors in each and every segment of the mold, and that's just the way I wanted to do it. Please don't feel like you have to do it this way. Like I said, you can just pour one single color. Now, here's the thing. This mold is perfect pretty much all year round. Imagine Halloween, witchy, wizard gnomes. Imagine these autumnal molds as well, autumnal gnomes. And of course, don't forget Christmas. You can also think about them in terms of Easter, bright colors, pastel shades, Mother's Day, Father's Day. You can really cater to whatever festival or ceremony or celebration that it is. Wedding, oh my gosh, stop. Wedding gnomes. I mean, they could be anything. So this is really not just a one time of a year kind of mold, even though we always associate these with Christmas. We're going to be doing them all, especially witches, because I've already started filming. Okay, listen, back to the video. Like I said at the beginning, I'm going for a whole array of autumnal shades. So the beards, I didn't want them to be white. That's more of a Christmas thing. So I wanted them to be all kinds of shades of brown, pale beige, creamy colors. I started off just using a beige mica powder. And into that, I've put in some white liquid pigment. Now, when you use white liquid pigment with any mica powder, it will not only lighten it up, give you more pastel shades, but it will also take away the magic of mica. So if you're looking for a block opaque color and you don't have it, you can use any mica powder you want, add a bit of white, and that white will give you the block opaque color and take away the magic of the mica. So into each of these, I just continue to add a drop more white to brighten it up, lighten it up, so that each gnome has got gradients of this one color in their beard. The rest of the molds then can be colored as you wish. So just using a micro brush, then I am painstakingly spreading the epoxy resin out into those areas. Now, the beautiful thing about this mold, of course, is it's the embossed lines, right? So not only it allows you to color individual sections of the mold, which yes, takes time, but you can then fill the mold with one color and highlight those areas afterwards. So like I said, it took a long time, but I felt like this one was worth it because I wanted to make the coziest, most autumnal gnomes ever on my channel, and using the micro brush just to pull that resin out into each and every segment of the beard. Really trying hard not to have that resin overflow those embossed lines into other areas. If it did go over, I would just drag it back out and make sure that it was just the beards that had that in. Now, next up were the hands and feet. At this stage, I wasn't sure if I wanted the hands and feet to be copper glitter, but I thought copper glitter, guys, it has to be be something shiny, shimmery, and ultra luxe, and this Hemway copper glitter was going to do the job for me. So again, slowly but surely dropping down tiny amounts of epoxy resin into the gloves and into the shoes as well. There are quite a lot of sections of this video that are sped up because, again, it took time, and B, it's a repetitive motion. So I didn't feel like you needed to sit through every minute of me filming because, trust me, it was long. So there are sections that are, of course, edited, and there are sections that are going to be sped up just because I don't want to send you guys to sleep with the repetitive motions that I'm going through in this video. So here you see me, I've done all of the gloves, and now it's time to use a micro brush tool to spread that copper glitter out into each of those glove compartments, making sure that, again, that doesn't go out of the area. And if it does look like I've put too much in, then I will quickly take some out to make sure that I don't go over those lines. Now, if you do go over any of these lines, it's no big deal because once we demold, we're filling those lines in anyway, so you're not going to see it. But what you don't want is for the two resins to bleed into each other. You don't want the colors to actually go into the other segment. So if you've got a little bit on the line, it doesn't matter. You just don't want it in the other segments. So yeah, again, sped up and slowed down just so you can see the process of me filling these out. Now, it was at this point, I didn't know if I wanted to do the feet in exactly the same copper glitter. So at this stage, I just left it alone and I didn't do anything more. I then moved on to the gnomes' hats. Now, I knew that the hats were going to have those absolutely beautiful maple leaf glitters from Sharon Kerr over on Resin Supplies Den on Facebook here in the UK. I needed those glitters in here. It's gonna scream autumn. Like, you can't get away from those glitters. They are the most autumnal glitter that ever glittered in the history of autumn glitters. And to do this, I decided to just fill each and every one of those gnome hats with clear epoxy resin, spread it out with my micro brush tool, and lay down the glitters once I had done so. Now, this made me nervous. Okay, I can't lie. I stared into the abyss. I sat in my craft room staring at this mold, like, how am I going to do the hats? Do I put the glitter in the resin and then pour the resin, or do I pour the resin and then put the glitter in? If I do that, it might make the resin spill out and over. It might get messy, but in the end, I said, Claire, just stop talking to yourself, girl, and just get it done. So, clear resin. I figured this was going to be the easiest way to control the narrative on the hats and also control where the maple leaves go. So if you want full saturation, I would suggest putting the sequins in the glitter and pouring in. But if you want patterns or you want it just in a concentrated area, just at the top or just at the bottom, I would definitely suggest doing it this way. So I did have to go easy here. I've already put clear resin in and it's a lot of resin. Like I risk that resin pouring out over those embossed lines. So again, do whatever makes your heart happy, whatever makes your soul sing at the time. This is exactly how I pictured it in my head, so that's what I went with. Using my micro brush tool to pick out some of the maple leaves and just dab it down onto that wet epoxy resin. Now, I wasn't necessarily looking for full saturation in the hats. I wanted the leaves to be seen without, I still want the background colour to be seen as well. So I didn't want full saturation. It was fiddly, it was tricky, but it was also fun, very, very therapeutic. Now, I am going to speed this section up for you because boy, oh boy, did this take time. So whilst the video plays and it is super sped up so you don't have to sit through this in real time, let me know in the comment section down below, what would you create with this mold? Like I've said, I've already started on Halloween videos, so I'm going to be making some witchy, wizardy ones. I'm also making a tray. There is a tray version of this gnome as well as a smaller version of this gnome. That's the beauty with molds and shapes. They not only take one design and make one thing, they take one design and make 5 things. So I also have a deep, deep edged gnome tray that I've already made into a very wizardy, witchy Halloween vibe. But let me know what you would do. I'm thinking Valentine's. I'm thinking all of the things. But here we are. The leaves are in. Now you can see 2 at the bottom there. Didn't get full on. I just put like a line at the bottom and a line going through the hat. Now, next up, I decided at this point, now this was actually 24 hours later. I walked away. Sometimes it's best to walk away and think about things. Think about your next step, your next move. So this was 24 hours later, and I decided that the feet have to match the hands. So here I am putting more of that Hemway copper glitter in epoxy resin into the feet because I didn't want them too different. And I figured that if there's one autumn colour that's going to work, it's going to be the copper glitter. So that's what I went with. So again, just dropping a very, very small amount. The feet section is, I'd say, a tad smaller than the hand section. So you want less resin dropped in the feet, and just using a wooden lollipop stick to do that, to get full control, making sure that I don't over pour. You can pour from the cup, but I think you can lose control when it comes to teeny tiny segments like this. A tiny little ball of epoxy resin in each foot, and that is when I got my micro brush tool, and this is where I will speed it up again because again it was all quite time consuming. So spreading that out up to the embossed line, which acts as a wall around each individual component of these molds. Yeah, I was really happy with my choice. Again, I'd slept on it. I didn't know what direction to go in. How many colors do I put in them? Do I keep it very, like just 4 or 5 colors per gnome? Or do I go really wild and go with multiple colors in the hands, feet, and all of the areas? Now the noses. I was toying with the idea of doing a completely different skin tone color nose in each and every gnome. I decided just to go with I guess like a burnt rose color. It's the only way I can really describe it. To get this color, I used the brown mica powder. I added in some white to tone it down a bit, but then it was too beige, I guess. So I added in some bright pink mica to bring it back. So we've ended up with a rosy brown shade, and purely to save time, I did the same color nose in each gnome. Now, like I said, you can start off with a dark shade, add white each time to bring it down lighter each time, and then you've got a different color nose in each gnome. So again, how you do that is entirely up to you. Your own individual creative license comes into play there, and you can do whatever makes your heart happy. So yeah, we've gone for this brownish, pinkish nose on each and every gnome. Now it's time to walk away again, and we're going to come back the next day. But here is a little bit of a close-up. What we're looking like is kind of like a purpley, it's a bit purple to be fair, a purpley pink brownish nose on each gnome. So 24 hours later, it is time to fill these babies up. Now again, this was a struggle for me because do you go with a different color in each gnome? I was asking my patrons quite a lot on this one. I was like updating them. If you are a patron, you will know. I send videos to my patrons just saying, this is what I'm working on. What would you guys do next? What color should I do? Because I'm always like, I need you guys basically. So I told my patrons that, you know, I'm probably going to do different colors in each gnome, but I ended up doing 2 colors, but pouring them slightly differently. So not every single gnome is going to be identical in their background colorways. This is just how I felt I needed to go. So we've got dark brown mica, we've got that absolutely stunning khaki green mica as well, and I felt like these would work totally well together. Now I think hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I wish I used more orange here. I wish instead of the green I used orange. I feel like that would have tied in maybe more with autumn, but also it would have lent itself leaning towards the Halloween side as well. So brown and green works beautifully together. They are colours of nature. They are colours of the trees. But I don't know. Let me know what you think. Do you think orange and brown would have really hit the spot more than green and brown. These are just the colours I chose on the day, and it was only afterwards I thought, oh man, I wish I went down more of even like a rust, like an orange, burnt umber, orangey brown rust colour would have gone better than the green. But here we are. This is what we did. So this is what we've got. Now, I didn't change it up too much. I just did brown in the hats, green in the hats, brown at the bottom or green at the bottom. So we've only just got the two colours, but I just felt like it would tie everything together. It would look like a gorgeous background, and all of the colours would work at the end of the day. I don't necessarily like playing around with too many colours that might just completely clash. I wanted to make sure it was a cohesive aesthetic. And this is the result. I absolutely love them. I did get a bit of debris in this little dude's beard, but never mind. We could just carry on. Now, you can see on that one there, the cream in the beard did go out and over onto the lines, but I wasn't worried about it because, again, we're filling those up. We are going to fill all of those lines to give these gnomes an outline and really just make all of the individual components cohesive and pop together. But I love this one. I absolutely love this one. In hindsight, if I were to do this again, I would really keep the beards mica. I love the shimmer and the magic that mica powder creates, but because I added in some white pigment, making them a block opaque, they're just a bit matte for me. So I think that first gnome that's got the mica and this one here that's got the mica, stunning. Oh my gosh, stunning. Absolutely love it. I love it. Just gives that beautiful shimmer, that reflective beauty that the others just don't have. So again, this is all a learning curve, what we would do differently next time. And just me saying to you, like, you'd get a better result if you just stuck to mica powder and didn't try to tone it down with the white. Now it's time to fill the lines. This is where my patrons, honestly, I went back to my patrons and I was like, what do I do now? It's time to fill the lines. Do I go with jet black? Do I go with white? Do I go with gold? My instinct, my gut instinct was telling me gold. It has to be gold. But I thought, do you know what? Because I'm not sure. Do I do them all different? Each and every one gets a different colour acrylic. So we've got white, we've got gold, we've got maybe green, we've got orange, we've got yellow, we've got all of the autumnal shades going into those lines. So I put it to my patrons and I said, like, what would you guys do? And it was quite split. A lot of you guys did say, yeah, gold, go for it, Claire, go for gold. A couple of you said black would make the gnomes pop. And I'll be honest, I really wanted to try black, but I could not find any black acrylic in my entire stash. So whether it's sitting at the bottom or whether it was just being elusive, I don't know. So first up, I tried gold acrylic and I fell head over heels in love with this. The technique, you could do this with a brush, you could do this with a silicone tool, but I like mess. I'm fine with getting my hands stuck in and getting messy and getting paint everywhere. It makes me feel like I'm actually being creative. So smudging, you're basically pushing that acrylic paint into each of those embossed lines, and the paint will stick. It absolutely will stick to those embossed rims. And then it's just a case of clean up. I'm doing this really in a messy way. The best way for me is to get a wooden lollipop stick, wrap it in a wet wipe, and then just swipe the surface. This is such an easy way of doing it. One swipe and then just moving the wet wipe down, another swipe, again moving that bit of wet wipe, and just keep going until you are happy that you've got no smudges in the paint, that the paint isn't smeared everywhere still, and that you've got a defined gold line highlighting all of those beautiful individual components for the gnome mold. And I was buzzing at this point. Now, okay, here's the thing, let's talk about it. I went for white and I hated it immediately. I tried white acrylic. It was a different brand. It was a lot harder to wipe off. It was not coming off like the gold. I mean, it was coming off, but it wasn't coming off as easily. And equally, I was ripping a load out, so then I could see like darkness in those lines, and I just did not like it. At this point, I just went for gold. I went for gold. You know, my patron decision was quite split, and a lot did say just go for gold. It's going to work with all of them at the end of the day. I did want them to have a cohesive look, to make them all look like they were part of the same, I guess, launch. You know, they were part of the same. So I did. I just went for gold. A, I loved the way it looked. B, oh my gosh, it was so easy to use, this one. It wiped off like a dream. It was almost like one wipe and each gnome was clean. It was so easy. I decided to stay away from the white. I went over the white one, actually. The white, I gave it a really good clean out, and I just went back over with gold because it was just making me so much happier. And yeah, that's where we ended up. So they all got that absolutely beautiful gold acrylic paint line job. And that was it. I waited a couple of hours for that acrylic paint to fully dry. You want it fully dry. You don't want to risk it bleeding into your resin in any way. And then it was time to top coat. So I went slowly but surely, individually, pulling out that resin to the edge of each and every gnome, making sure that none of that resin went over the edge. We got one. One of the gnomes decided, hey, I'm imbalanced. I'm just going to give you a little bit of something to work harder for. And it did spill straight off the edge. But with a cleanup, I managed to, contain it. I managed to contain it. So all I've done now is I've poured some resin onto each of these molds. I'm going to use my micro brush tool to drag that resin out to the edge, which can be quite tricky on these molds because you've got that gold embossed line. The resin was naturally stopping at the edge of that gold embossed line, but I want that resin to the very edge, to infinity and beyond. I want that resin to the edge. So it took work. I ended up using a wooden cocktail stick because it just gave me more precision as well as my micro brush tool did. And I did this to each and every individual gnome. 24 hours later, they are cured. I'm in love. I'm head over heels in love, especially with that mica result in the beard. That's my one regret, I think, with this project. I wish I went with different tones of mica instead of adding the white and bringing it down to a real block opaque cream. This, stunning. This is me. This is absolutely my cup of tea. It's my favorite result. Now, at this point, I thought the gnomes need to be holding something. I also put this to my patrons. My patrons all said, yes, they need a pumpkin. They need to be holding a pumpkin. We all agree on it. I agreed with them. They all agreed they need to be holding a little pumpkin or something. But I've got one singular pumpkin mold. It would have taken days to make individual pumpkins for all of these gnomes to hold. It is something I'd like to revisit. It's just I ran out of time. Some of my patrons also suggested stickers, like little pumpkin stickers would work really well, and I agree they would have. I don't have any. Some of my patrons also suggested Cricut vinyl. Now, this for me was the most feasible, doable, fast approach to have them all holding a pumpkin. In my heart of hearts, I wanted it to be 3D. I wanted it to be a 3D pumpkin that they're holding. So I didn't continue on with that. But it's definitely something that needs to be, I think they need it. I finished them all off with gold keychains, and then I used those beautiful autumn charms that I bought from Amazon in bulk. I bought a box of autumn charms that work beautifully for keyrings. And this is what we're looking like. I absolutely love them. Like, I am so in love with these. It's definitely one of my favourite autumn pieces that I've made this year. And going forward, I can't wait to do this for Halloween. I can't wait to do this for Christmas. I think this mould is the be-all and end-all for all year round gnomology. I mean, Valentine's Day, stop it. Can you imagine? Pink and red heart sequins in that hat, gorgeous little pink gloves, red feet with a white background. Oh my gosh, beautiful. I absolutely love these. Thank you so much for all of your support throughout my autumn series. I hope you have loved everything, if not everything, then at least some of the pieces that I have made. I hope you feel inspired. I hope you love the mold because, guys, imagine these witchy, wizardy Halloween. It is coming, guys. The very first Halloween video on my channel will be next week, and it will be using the mold from Molds and Shapes. That is the Gnome deep edged tray, and we are making a witchy, spooky, wizardy tray, and it is beautiful. I cannot wait for you guys to see it. If you would like this mold, details are down below. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're still here, thank you again. Please hit that thumbs up. I appreciate you all, and I will see you very soon for my Halloween season 2025. Oh my gosh, I'm about to burst. I'm gonna go breathe, get a cup of tea. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.